It's now time for another episode of the Off-Road Toolbox. A Jeepers guide to everything off-road. Powered by Best Price Trailers.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Off-Road Toolbox. I'm Jeff, and sitting next to me is...
I'm Bart.
And behind the magical microphone
back there. How you doing? I'm Rob, and I'll tell you something. We've got one heck of a show going on here today. Not only do we have one heck of a show going on, but there are various ways that you can hear and listen to us.
This is true. I wonder if they really know about it.
Well, you know,
tell them about
we've got them trapped right now, so they're really wanting to know. So, I mean, before we get into it real quick, you can hear us on JBR on Thursdays, 8 o'clock. Sundays after Jeep Beach News and Views, which happens around 7:30-ish.
In the morning.
In the morning, yeah. Jeep Beach News and Views is the other podcast. They're on at 7 o'clock. And again, if you're listening to us, you're listening to us through your favorite podcast platform. And if you're watching us, you can watch us. If you're watching us, you know that. You see us on YouTube. So there's plenty of ways to catch us.
Many ways to catch us.
Yes.
You can even come up and tap us on the shoulder and say hi.
And we are powered by
BestPriceTrailers.com.
Why?
Because they support us 100%.
And they have the best price.
They have the best prices.
They make a good product.
They
sell
really
a good product.
Yes, they do.
And Robin will help you out with any issues you may have.
All right, guys. So now that we got all that stuff out of the way,
yes.
What are we going to yap about today for our viewers and listeners?
This is your top. You got to pick this one. I have to do my homework.
As being as it's hot outside as it is,
yes.
we might want to go over your Jeep overheating.
True.
Things that could cause it and ways to prevent it, maybe.
Especially if you're trail riding.
Or
going to the trails, going on vacation.
Even just in traffic.
Well, I know that when you're trail riding, a lot of times you're going so slow.
Correct.
There's no air getting in.
Not a lot of air movement.
So, and you're running the engine, and they always overheat. I would always just pull over and pop the top, and I just sit back, have a sandwich. So that seems to work sometimes.
That'll help. Sometimes opening up the hood will help out a little bit. Cutting your hood up, that's another issue, another way to do it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to help cool your vehicle.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So anyways, I've had questions like, hey, how do you keep your TJ cool? Well, I went with an aluminum radiator, which most people are like, no, it doesn't work. Well, so far my Jeep runs at 230 like it's supposed to. Day in, day out, no matter if I'm sitting still. Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to run around 220.
220, 230.
Okay.
Whatever it takes.
I'm like 190 to 200, but I have a JK.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, we're at 230, 220, somewhere around there.
Actually, good knowledge to know.
It is.
220, 221, whatever
25.
it takes. Remember that movie? You don't remember that movie, do you?
No,
Mr. Mom?
Oh, Mr. Mom.
Remember that? Martin Mull, may he rest in peace. He just passed away.
Yes.
And Michael Keaton.
Yep.
You know, that was a great scene.
That was hilarious.
But yeah, 220.
Yeah, I mean, but if you start seeing it creep up, up in a 235, 240, and it's not staying steady, you got an issue. So you want to start investigating. First off, you're going to check your fluid. You got the reservoir that you're going to look at, see if there's anything in there, because a lot of times they get old, they crack, they leak, or it sucked it down, because that's what it's there for. Should your system be burning antifreeze / coolant, whichever, it'll suck it out of that reservoir. That's what it's designed for.
True. So look at your dash gauge. On your dash gauge, on most of the Jeeps, including the TJ and the JK, they'll have the temperature gauge.
Yes, they do.
So don't put a sticker or a picture of your little brother over it so you can see it like my daughter does.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I'm like, oh, yeah. No, get the picture off of it. You need to look at your gauges. Gauges are important. Hopefully they're reading accurately.
As they say, they call them the idiot lights or idiot gauges. And
correct.
It's just to keep your vehicle from being destroyed.
Yes.
I mean, it's expensive to replace a motor now.
Yes. And in the older models, don't automatically go into limp mode or shut off.
No.
So you cook it. You cook it.
You melt it down and all that. So anyways, some of the things that could cause your overheating could be a bad radiator. The stock radiators in the Jeeps, they have a tendency to want to split at the top.
At the seam. Because it's a plastic metal
seam.
Yep.
And no matter what you do or what you think you can do, putting stop leak or whatever in there, it's not going to help it survive.
Nope.
So I thought, hey, I'm going to put all aluminum in there. One, I'm getting the conduction to get the heat off of the fluids. And two is it's going to be kind of hard for it to split anything.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Because and mine, that's what happened with mine, and it leaked at the seam and we couldn't find it. And I said, "Look, I can smell it,"
Right.
So the mechanic took off it was cold. That's another thing. Before you touch the radiator, make sure it's cool. Don't pop the cap if it's hot.
Yeah, don't grab a towel and try to pop the cap. That's not a good idea.
Just not.
You see it in the movies all the time,
time.
right?
Yes. So don't do that. Wait for it to cool, and then they take the cap. But then you put on. There's another radiator cap with a little hose on it, and they pump it up and they pressure test it.
Yes.
And that's how he found the leaks because I could smell it before I could see it. And so then I was like, okay, you did my research, and I got with my buddies over at Four Wheel Parts, and we worked our deal, and I got a Mishimoto aluminum radiator because at the time they were rated the best, and it come with a
Right.
lifetime warranty and everything else. So I replaced it and I put it in myself, which was comical. And
Why is it comical? Well, I mean, you're supposed to be experts here. You guys know how to do everything.
well, I did. It's different when you have a broken back. The flexibility in moving.
You're
and getting,
using that. Okay,
Oh,
you're
no,
gonna
no.
play that card. You're gonna play that card.
No,
All right.
it just makes things more challenging, and then wrenches fly in sometimes when I get frustrated because or you get to a certain spot. So it should be like an hour and a half, 2 hour job is like a 4 hour job, and it's okay. I'm still saving money. I took it out, put it in, did it right, and we're going to talk about all the procedures. We're going to talk about getting air out and everything.
Burping it.
Yep. So I got it out and got it in, and like 2 years later, I had another leak again. And I'm like, what the heck? So I get with them. I call Mishimoto. I'm like, hey, what's going on? I got a leak, and I sent them pictures of everything, and they're like, yeah, right. He goes, your Jeep flexes too much, and that's why it cracked and broke the welds. And I'm like, it's a Jeep. So I picked on the guy.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, wait a minute, you're used to all these sports cars and these Mustangs and Corvettes and all these high performance cars. You put it in, and I put it in my little 3.8 Jeep, and it's too much for it. He goes, if you off road a lot, especially in not flat terrain, we're finding that we're breaking them. And I'm like, oh, good engineer.
That would have been nice to know before you put one in.
So they've sent it. So I'm on my second or third Mishimoto aluminum.
Why are you using Mishimoto?
Because I had a
lifetime warranty.
Lifetime warranty.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not working. Can you find
And
one?
they've made changes and modifications. So,
Okay. All
So
right.
through
Okay.
it,
All right.
yes, they've made changes and modifications, and they've been very good.
Okay.
And actually, they stepped to the plate and did the right thing. So we again, bantering with people all the time. It can be fun sometimes. I wasn't insulting them, but I said, but it's a Jeep, and the Jeeps are going to go off road, and it's not everybody's going to be, doing. I said, unless I have a 392 Hemi, I'm not drag racing anybody at the red lights. I'm not doing it.
Doesn't happen.
A Yugo can beat my 3.8, but it's okay. I said, but when you go off road, he goes, yes, there was the twisting and torquing of the body of the Jeep that was actually flexing the radiator. And
So how are you doing with this current Mishimoto?
probably on 5 years with it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, then okay.
Even better. So yes, because I did it right away. When I bought my Jeep, everything I think could go wrong, I was working on. So and the radiator happened just to do it, and I was already in my budget to get it. So then, like I said, I was at one of the Jeep events, and there's one of the guys that we banter. Again, I'm bantering, but I get good deals. So we pick on each other, and got a good deal. And like I said, so whether it's the second or third, I apologize. I'll have to look at my records, but it's now held up. But I went with aluminum for the same reason, like you said.
Yeah, I don't think I have that much flex in mine though.
Well,
Which is
yes.
kind of weird because mine's 6 years old.
yeah.
So and it's an off brand. It's not a high dollar brand. So I rolled the dice.
Your microphone up.
My microphone up just a little bit.
See if you can do that just a tad. Your levels are kind of.
So
This is behind the scenes stuff here.
Yeah.
That happens.
It happens.
So radiators can go bad.
Yes, they can.
So that's something to look at.
They can go bad at where the hose is attached, where your
Yes.
automatic transmission lines go in.
Correct.
You can have failures there. Also, catching a rock to it off the road.
Yeah.
Well, because you have those big open 7 slots.
Yep, those 7 slots will kill you every time.
So I actually
Unless, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No.
No. Go ahead. It's your show.
I went and got a mesh and put a mesh screening behind.
There you go. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to suggest. Yep.
And my concern was going down the highway and getting debris kicked up. And that's a big concern because once it goes through the radiator.
But the problem with the mesh thing, from what I've heard, is that even the mesh can keep the heat
It'll make the air more turbulent.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does, but it still makes it hot. It still warms it up. That's what I read.
It makes sense in what you're saying. Yeah,
because it's going to restrict the airflow. But
Right.
I've not noted again. So mine runs. I rarely get to 210 in my Jeep.
well, you never go anywhere.
I travel up and down the interstate going to courses.
You picking on him. Stop
I
picking on him.
actually got some more.
He's got a
courses
bad
coming.
back, you know.
Yeah, he's going to pick on
Don't
me.
pick on him.
I know.
Oh, you have no idea.
It takes again. Well, even oil changes take me a lot longer than normal.
That's called old age.
It is.
At least you're doing your own oil change.
I do a lot. I try to do as much as I can, and luckily the 3.8 is a pretty simple engine. The 4.0 and the 4.0 to me is the easiest engine to work on, especially if you're not a mechanic and you can just
reach in.
Spark plugs, wires, the coils, so many things, the fuel rails, so many things on the 4.0, and then the 3.8 is not as bad. I mean, not as good as to work on, but it's still not bad. I won't even know on the 3.6. That's up to you guys.
The minivans.
I open the hood.
Oh, no,
I look
that's
at
the
it,
old
and I
one.
just close it back. I say, yeah, no,
Yeah, it's a little bit different beast.
yes.
I mean, so with that said, as I try to do as much as I can, and then you talk about the rocks. What about sticks? What about mud? So when you go off road,
Mud's real bad for you off road.
and then dirt, dust, silt, all that stuff.
And when you're going off road too, everyone wants to go in the water and the mud. They like to go deep into the and everything. But then you come out of it, and if you don't clean that stuff off, and who's going to be able to do all of that while you're on the trail ride? No one will think to do that until afterwards. But in the meantime,
they're out having too much fun.
Yeah.
before
Yes.
they even think about things like
and
that.
then that's when you're going to see. That's when you really need to watch your temperature gauge. But if you go through the water, go through slow.
Yep.
Try
to wash it out.
You don't, yes. Like when we go to Hard Rock. Hard Rock's a place I use for one of my courses for like a practical exam, and a lot of times I have students.
not the casino.
You're right. Hard Rock Off-Road Park.
Off-road park. Yep, that's
Up-
it's over
in
Gainesville.
Cala.
Gainesville.
Right below. Yep. So we go there, but sometimes again I'll have students doing.
Not that the casino wouldn't be a bad place to go and have fun, but
I don't know if they want me driving through their theater, right through the lobby and up the stairs.
up on the stage.
I can dig it.
So on the way back, there's a car wash place, and I hit it with the car wash. But you have to, again, don't use a hard direct stream to clean out the vents of your radiator because you're going to bend them.
And you got to be careful when you go to those places because a lot of them get very aggravated whenever they see a muddy Jeep coming in.
There is a sign that is against the law. It is
Because
now-
it's reclaimed water.
Exactly, it's against the law to bring a muddy Jeep or a truck into those places and just go ahead and
The
clean
one
that you can't do that anymore. I mean,
really?
you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, there's a sign that says no muddy Jeeps, no dirty trucks.
Here local.
Yeah.
That's here local.
Right,
I don't
yeah.
know about.
I didn't see it. The place I go, but it's probably been a year or two since I've done Hard Rock for an agency, so I haven't seen it. But it was a little small one. If there was a sign, I wouldn't do it. I'm just telling you.
Right. Well, I seen that. I noticed that at one of the ones that I go to in town.
Yeah.
And it says no muddy trucks, no
Okay.
mud because it's all reclaimed water. Maybe that water's not reclaimed over there. I don't
It's
know.
possible.
But they don't like it generally because it plugs everything up. Just like it plugs up the Jeep.
Yeah.
It plugs up their vents too.
Well, just like on your sewer systems
Yeah.
on the roads. I mean,
Right.
all the silt and all that gets in there, they have what they do. They come around twice a year and suck all that crap out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can understand it.
When they have a hose, some of these off-road parks will have hoses. And they'll
Take
have
advantage of it.
They'll have washout areas.
Right.
Again, don't use the super harsh stream. Radiator's the one I'm concerned about. If I got it muddy, if I didn't get it muddy, and it's just but just the dust. So if you're driving and it's all
Clean
the dust,
those windshields off, clean the tires off. and
clean
all
the
that.
tires off.
So we talked about radiator leaks. We talked about bad radiators. How about a bad radiator cap?
True.
Yeah.
I've
They're
had
set
that
for-
happen.
They're set for a certain pressure to
Yep.
release and all this. And if that's bad, it will cause you to overheat because it's sticking.
I've had that happen a couple times. And my daughter on Kayla's Jeep, we've had to replace radiator caps. So yes,
Another thing would be a bad radiator fan clutch.
that's going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
on
Yeah.
the 4.0 more so than the other ones are electric.
I know that 4.0 because that's what that's happened.
Yeah.
When
And
you
your
first
TJs,
started
your
up, you hear
CJs.
like it's going to take off.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one thing on the 4.0s that is bad. I don't know if the 2.6s have it.
The 3.6.
Or 3.6s, I mean.
I don't know. My 3.8 doesn't have it. It's just an plastic electric fan.
Okay. And that's why I got in a TJ.
Yeah.
Or JT, excuse me. whatever.
So in other words, the 4.0s, the TJs were probably built better
TJs,
than the real ones.
They were built
XJs.
better. I'm just saying the
I know.
4.0 is
Cherokees,
yes.
all that from 06 back is going to be probably better
Yes.
built as far as the radiators and whatnot, cooling
Yes.
system.
Even the brand new Jeeps, they said they're more capable than ever, which I believe them.
Yes.
They are. But there's so many electronics. How can they justify that when they made Jeeps back in the
the early ones were great.
I mean, no, I'm not talking about the ones in the 50s and the 60s or
Yes.
the ones in the
still.
CJs and all that. But how can they do
Because
that? How can they
They
justify?
didn't have the EPA over the top of it.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Yes.
Okay, now you
Yes.
got it. Okay.
To get to the standards they want for emissions and fuel economy, there's so many electrical parts now,
Okay.
and sensors and wiring.
A lot of sensors.
So it's the best version of what they can make today by law, is what it is. Not
Yes.
the best version.
To fall into those guidelines that they
right.
have to follow.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's not the best built ever.
Back in
Jeep.
the 60s, we were, who cares?
Back
Yeah.
then there was
And
a lot
now-
of things.
exactly.
Free love.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
know?
now we're held to a higher standard.
Yes.
That would be
Okay.
a better thing. So how do you fix some of these issues? Well, with the fan clutch, it's a pain. I'll tell you that right now because I've replaced one on mine already.
Yep.
I think we ought to do a video on how to do that.
We could, yeah, that's fine. We should. I think
or
it'd be a
how
great
to
idea.
or something of that sort.
It'd be a separate YouTube video
yeah.
that our viewers and listeners can go to and find out. We could do, we could have a series of these little things to put up.
Are
not
we working
necessarily
on some
podcasts.
educational things that we could be a good demonstration for?
We got some stuff coming up. Yeah.
I know that would be that would actually be a good one for that.
Again, volunteer my Jeep. You can work on it if you want.
It may happen.
Okay.
So get back to you got a radiator leak. How do you fix it?
I call my mechanic and I just say, "Hey, man, I could drop it off tonight.
AAA.
You can work it tomorrow."
AAA. If you're out in the middle of
Oh.
who knows where, what are you going to do?
Black pepper.
You can do black pepper. That's
I
true.
wouldn't do,
Really?
I'm going to say black pepper over the radiator leak stop because radiator leak stop will also block all your passages inside the block.
So afterwards, you got to clean.
You got to do a hardcore flush.
Yes.
and-
So
Yes.
explain real quick. What is black pepper? Like peppercorns or like the salt already
regular-
broken up pepper?
Yep.
It's ground pepper.
Ground pepper?
Yep.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It doesn't gel, but it clumps together and it goes to the least resistance. So if it feels that there's pressure being pushed outside, we'll say through a radiator fin, through one of the tubes.
Fins that are big ones. Yep.
Now, how much pepper do you, a tablespoon? It's
Tablespoon.
like we're
It is
cooking.
You're being,
Really?
tablespoon. So when I'm teaching the military, that's one of the things because in their MREs,
Yep, they all have pepper.
They have packets of pepper, and so whether it's going to be a 2 or 4 pack leak, that's
Exactly.
seriously. So yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
Cooking show and
Yeah.
off-road.
Yep.
So
Next we
so,
got-
No, but
next
so
we'll
it
cook
was
a souffle on your.
And they do a demonstration when we're at this one facility. They actually do the demonstration on, So it's pretty interesting. And I've heard of it, but it's a different story when, you go ahead and do it.
So let me ask you this: do you bring part of your? You have everything that you bring off.
I have an MRE in I always have food
but
in my Jeep.
I know
though.
you have food, but do you actually have a thing of pepper?
It's in
Do
the
you
MRE.
have-
It's in the
It's
in the packet.
it's in the food packet.
So an MRE is a packet
Yeah,
of
but
food
what if you
deal.
need that MRE? You need the pepper for the food.
I guess I'll go with that.
We'll survive.
It's all right.
But what if hang on a second. Now, what if you have the food and you use the pepper? So then you're like, oh no. I don't
So
have pepper.
in my case, in my box, I have stop radiator leak, but I know if I use the stop radiator leak, that when I get back,
Gotta flush it.
things are coming out. It's going to be a big to do.
And you'd rather not. if
I'd
you
rather
don't
not.
have to.
I'd rather not.
Now, how soon will it take when you put that tablespoon of pepper?
It may take it 5-10 minutes.
As soon as it gets circulating,
You gotta circulate it, get it up to temp, and then it'll go for it.
and then in another part of the course, one of the things you carry is Leatherman or needle nose pliers. So almost everybody carries a Leatherman, and we had to go in and find the fin that was leaking, and then you got to bend it and crimp it,
Right,
and do it just right without making a bigger mess because it's so easy if you and you bent the next one next to you. So between those two, that's just a way to get you back to where get off the trail, get back to hardtop, and then can you drive it, or are you gonna have to call for a tow truck?
Yeah, it gets expensive out in the woods for a tow truck.
If they'll come, there's a lot of places that won't.
Oh, I'll bet you some will, just because they know they can charge you. Kind of like we were just talking about this earlier on the beach with sand tow.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think they charge like $150. I think that's what it is. Now, don't quote me, but I mean, it used to be. I remember going out there when I was doing this. This is just a real quick aside. With the strap, and someone needs something, and I'd do it, and they'd throw me a couple of bucks, and that would be, hey, no problem, being nice, neighborly of you. But this is a business, so that's the going rate. But that's kind of what they might still go out and tow you from the woods.
I'll tow my buddy out. Then we'll get AAA to come pick us up.
That's why we got SOS stuck in Florida. I mean, everybody's coming out to help people.
Or go out, make sure somebody's going out with a flatbed that tows they can drive back and they can put yours on the flatbed. You know, that's what we used to do back
in the day.
Back in the day, a few years ago. Yeah.
All right. So another thing that could cause you to overheat is a faulty thermostat.
True.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So that's an easy fix. But I'm going to tell you, if you got a 4.0, be very careful when you're putting the thermostat housing back on, because it's only like 8 pounds of torque you put on it. And I misread it and put a little bit more, and it went snap.
Oh, no.
So do you buy the ones with the fail-safe so it will not get ever stuck in the closed position? So if it fails in the open position.
Yes.
So that's just something for people to think about when they're getting thermostats is... so you can buy it. There's a standard one, and then there's one that's got a fail-safe in it. So if for whatever reason your thermostat fails, it fails in the open position, so you don't overheat.
Yes.
It just won't get the proper operating temperature, but it won't overheat.
Right. It'll run a little bit cooler, but
Correct.
At this point, you're probably already starting to overheat anyways.
Correct.
So there you go.
Or the suggestion is in the field, you got to take it out or take the stuck one out completely, run without one.
Yep. Run. There you'll need some RTV.
That's what because you don't have a gasket. So as soon as you pull it off, you've lost your gasket.
Lost your gasket, and there's no way to circulate that water through the.
And there's too much. Not that there's too much pressure. There's a little bit of pressure, but if you don't put something on it, it's just going to leak, and it's just not going to be. Again, that's all things that people don't consider. Well, it depends on where you're going to. If you're close to a road and got a friend who can tow you back. Right. If you're like. I got a course coming up, and I can be 10, 15 miles from civilization out in Florida. Here in Florida, I mean, I can be miles away from people. Just look at the Ocala National Forest.
You can get lost real easy.
And you can be 10, 12, 15 miles from somebody coming,
You were just out recently. I think I saw a photo. You were at a camp. I think wasn't that where you were at? Was that lake? Was it the lake that your family owned?
The family.
The in-laws. The in-laws at Sellers Lake. They're we're very fortunate as family bought this campground or bought the land before it was the Ocala National Forest. Because
and they got grandfathered in. I remember you saying
owned it. They owned it. So they owned
that's awesome.
Private lake. And
I saw
they're
that.
out in the middle of. They're out in the middle of literally out in the middle of nowhere.
It was one of those jealous moments on Facebook, going, "Oh man,
it is nice. It's a spring-fed lake. It's
Father's
very clean.
Day. You were on.
We were out there Father's Day. All the kids were there. Brought the boat out. Brought the vehicles out.
No bear. See any bear?
There is a bear living by, but it didn't come to play.
Didn't? Okay.
Yeah.
Bart was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we've seen bear there, the wild boar. I guess there's coyotes now. The
coyotes
panthers,
in our neighborhood,
bobcats.
Normand.
Yeah.
They're moving all over the place. So another thing that could cause overheating, believe it or not, is a blown head gasket.
Oh, those aren't good.
I know.
I mean,
I just got to throw it out there.
You took a happy moment and you just threw it.
I did so much. But yeah, a blown head gasket, you're going to feel a rough engine riding, or a rough motor.
Yep.
Meaning acceleration would be kind of stuttery.
Your checkbook
is not there.
Checkbook is going to be angry with you.
You hear your checkbook going screaming at you.
Yep.
But yes, that can cause issues with overheating too. The only way to fix it is get to a shop or get it home and pull the head and new gasket. And hopefully you didn't warp the block.
Yep.
Or the head. And if that happens, then your checkbook's going to be really angry. It may just leave.
You may have to go to a place and find a motor.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, will that radiator stop leak going through slow that down by any chance? That's a good question.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on if it's between a piston and the water jacket. No.
Okay.
Because you still got the piston pushing all that pressure into the water jacket. And there's tests out there that you can do to see if it is a blown head gasket. It's a chemical that you would start the Jeep up, You put this adapter on. You put it in there. It's going to bubble in there.
Yep.
If there's
CO2
exhaust, if it picks up CO2,
Yep.
it turns a different color, and that tells you right there you got an issue.
Yep.
Whether it be a cracked cylinder wall, head gasket, head, we don't know. But unfortunately, that's probably the most expensive thing that you're going to have to deal with.
So overheating, again, back to that when you're trail riding.
Yes.
And I said, you put those fins on top, like you can cut fins
cut the
into your.
holes out on
I know
top.
that Poison Spider had
Yes.
the whole
Yes.
kit that you could put on.
Yep.
Yes.
How effective really is that?
If you're moving, it's great.
Okay, but it doesn't help
can
you
you-
much.
Even at slow speed, you're going to get more air
get
movement,
more air movement.
and it won't get trapped underneath the hood. It'll come back out through
Right.
the.
That's why whenever I stop, if we're stopping for a while, my hood goes
The
up.
hood goes up. Grab a sandwich, drink,
Grab
enjoy nature.
Exactly.
Watch out for the rattlesnakes.
I haven't seen any
Or
rattlesnakes.
ticks.
I
Or
did.
ticks.
I've seen
Ticks.
rattlesnakes years ago in
Yes.
the forest.
Now, ticks are my enemy.
Because they'll
I
be in
find
the
them all
trees,
enemy.
they'll fly, they'll just blow out of the trees. If the wind's blowing, they'll come out of the trees, land on you.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's all right. Just go.
Could be worse.
Yes.
Another thing could be the water pump. Water pump impella. Break out
Yes.
impella.
So-
You don't know it.
Or
And-
you see the weeping.
yes,
the dreaded weep.
Yep. You'll see water drip on your driveway if you're parking on concrete.
You know something's up.
You
Right.
know something. You need to look at it.
Yeah.
You'll see a little trail. It's called the weep hole, and you'll see a little trail going down on the water pump failure out in the field.
There's nothing you
There's
can
nothing
do
you can do
about it.
about
Nothing you
that.
can do.
That's why you got to go with a friend that's got a flatbed. That flatbed's their rig, and that way the one that's broken goes on the
Or
flatbed.
even trailers their rig.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
You know,
a trailer.
BestBuy.com.
That's
or
right, Best Trailer.
Trailers.
Yeah.
.com and get a trailer to haul around.
Because I'm just thinking, because I've had my water pump replaced, or when I go do the thermostat and everything,
Right.
I'll just do everything.
Yeah.
You know.
See, I'm at the point. Speaking of best price trailers.
You're going to get a trailer for your
No,
Jeep?
no, I had nowhere to put it. But I would, if I was going to go off roading at this point with
Yeah.
the Jeep, I'd have to rent something and bring that with me because there's no way
U-Haul.
that there's no way I could actually. It's an hour and a half to Ocala.
Yeah.
So that it kind of I was driving it for the longest time and it was fine, but
Now you're getting gun shy.
I'm getting real gun shy because it's just
I understand.
But we got to do that sometime.
Yes.
And I want to go to your camp.
Okay.
I'd love to do that.
It is neat.
You know?
It is really nice. Like I said, and Father's Day, there's 6 cabins there from the descendants of my in-laws. And because they came down in like the 1800s, and then they were in Jacksonville, and then came to Daytona Beach. Right when Daytona Beach isn't that old, people don't know it. The land, everything else is older than Daytona Beach. So, but like the early 1900s, they moved from Jacksonville and they started their hardware store and lumber yard, and then, like I said, for whatever reason, how do you even find that land back then and buy it?
Somebody knew somebody that knew somebody.
I mean, because that's, I mean, you got to remember, we probably,
You're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, Ocala
Yes.
National Forest is in the middle of the. It's like
Oh, yeah.
there's nothing. It's a
Yes.
whole lot of nothing but woods.
Yes.
and trail rides.
in springs and woods,
Yeah,
and everything.
And to find that one particular area that you're in is like almost a needle in a haystack. If you think
yeah,
about it,
it was,
You know?
and then like I said, it was a lot of it got built by the descendants over the years from the scrap wood from the lumber yard.
Can you do anything like in that land? You own the land, so you could say you wanted to build something new.
Yes,
on
they
it.
can get
You
a permit. Yep,
Oh, that's awesome.
their grandfather, but so yes,
It's all grandfathered in.
Yes.
Oh, that's just the coolest.
It-
That's
it's
got to
just
be. It's really cool.
It's just really nice. Yeah, yeah.
Look at the.
It, we've gone there. Not with you, and I've done with Gary. We've done some trail rides.
Oh,
We've
back
taken a break, and let's go stop by. And then there, everybody looks and like, holy mackerel! Hey, and it's clean water. You can swim right there. There's a dock, everything.
All right,
boat
we got
ramp,
to
boat
we got to
ramp.
plan this. Oh,
Boat
you got a
ramp.
boat ramp too.
Yeah,
That's
boat
right, because you got a boat.
We got a boat.
This
they
is
have
a
a
life
boat
of
Man,
Bart
I tell you,
Barnett.
man,
That's
just.
the in-laws. That's not me.
Oh, well, I know that, but
not
that's
me.
phenomenal.
You know,
That's
and
phenomenal.
they're real
How old is
small.
your daughter?
Stephanie, my oldest, is 31.
Okay.
And then I have Michael. And then my wife has Kaylee, who's 25, 26 right now.
It's going to be in the family for a long time.
Oh, it has been. Again,
I mean,
it's,
to come.
Kids
so
passed
it's like
down,
the
passed
great
down.
grandfather, yeah, and it's set up so yeah, it stays. It's pretty neat. And they're small. They're like 2 little bedroom like cabins, and they're real. Just it's like some of the family members go Gucci, the other families keep it.
I like that. Go Gucci. So they bougie. It's bougie camping. Bougie.
For some of them,
Glam.
Now here's the thing. Here's another thing. Can you? We're getting totally off. Totally off.
That's
but that's
okay.
fine. Can you?
Yeah.
Is it possible you can do like an Airbnb?
No,
with those?
because of the way the family set it up, it can't. It's only for family members.
Family members.
Descendants of, family members.
And friends?
Come as a guest, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Uncle Bart.
So, it's just truly, but...
Party at Bart's. In-laws.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yes. So, let's get back to...
So,
I don't want to get back to that anymore.
all right. So another thing that if you smell antifreeze inside the cab of your
Yes.
Jeep, that's your heater core.
Oh, yes.
And
I'm
that
familiar
is
with
the
that.
and that is a dreaded job. It's a day-long job if you do it by yourself.
you got to pull a dash out. You got to pull a lot of stuff out.
But here's the thing. If you're in Florida, you don't need it. You really don't. I don't think. I mean, hang on. Depends on what part of Florida you're in. But I know mine went, and I just bypassed it. And I don't
Yeah, you
have
can
heat.
bypass it to
I
get
don't
by
have
for a
heat.
while.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
when you go out in 32, 32 is not cold to the northern folks here, but 32 for us
It gets
down
cold,
here
yeah.
is cold.
However, then, yeah, okay, it is cold.
Yep.
No doubt. I'm bringing from Syracuse.
And I'm
That's
a wimp.
cold.
I got to have my heat.
But the Jeep generates so much heat inside, it takes 5 minutes and I'm warmed up again if I'm driving in the cold.
Now, you couldn't flush yours out? Because you can do a flush. You have to cut... So
Well,
you cut...
nine times out of 10, what it is if you pull it out, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a A-shaped finned radiator that sits in a spot. Well, it's hooked out to the motor too, so it has a tendency to rub back and forth.
Okay.
So when it rubs back and forth, it rubs a hole into the bottom of the core.
Okay.
And that's where you get your leak from.
All right.
9 times out of 10.
So, heater core leak, or the other one is a plugged heater core.
Plugged heater core, you won't get any heat inside.
So then that one you can flush. The leak
Right.
you got to fix.
Leak you got to fix, or you just deal with
It's old. It's time to replace it. If you have a TJ, obviously, it's just
So can you JB weld it?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's aluminum, and I don't think it'd hold that well.
JB makes it a metal.
if you're going to
Kit.
take it apart.
Yeah.
If you're going to be
If
there,
I'm
you might as well
replace
replace
it,
it.
just replace
Just
it.
replace it.
Just
Yeah,
replace it.
at that point, because it's really a pain in the butt.
I mean, if I could reach in there and do it,
Yes,
I
yeah,
probably
yeah.
would, but
Okay.
no, you can't.
All right, just asking.
How'd that go?
Just asking.
How do you put? Yeah.
Because Kaylee had to have hers replaced. So yeah, it was ripping out the whole dash
Yep.
and everything
I
done.
mean, it's not a hard job. You just got to know where everything is.
Yes.
There's a lot of wires, but all those wires go into a clip. There's
Yes.
nothing out of the ordinary except if you have satellite and the door
Yes.
dingies.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. So,
Okay. Let's get to the next one.
The burp.
The burp.
So how do you burp?
Depends.
Burp.
So in my case, from lessons learned, so when I go out off-roading, I have ramps when I get home. So I drive the Jeep up on these little ramps, and then I'm able to clean the bottom. Well, one time I was doing the radiator, and I got the dreaded airlock. So I drove the Jeep up onto I cracked the radiator, drove the Jeep onto the radiator cap, folks. I drove the Jeep onto the those ramps, and then started it up. And because that was the highest point, when it circulated,
Air would come out.
Air
and
came out.
sometimes you have to burp the
the
hose,
hose.
because the hose will hold
Yep.
air in there. So
Yes.
It's a pain.
It is.
Overheating is a pain.
And it's one of the things you won't know until you
it's-
run through the system is it an air leak or is it something else?
Yes.
So there's a little process that we go through and we can
You
look
got to
for.
troubleshoot.
Yes.
That's it. All right, Bart. Anything else?
Oh, what about hoses?
Hoses. How often should we replace them?
Good point. But what about the clamps? So do we
Clamp.
go with a spring clamp or a screw-down clamp?
I like screwed-on clamps because the spring clamps are a little bit harder out in the field to do anything with.
Very hard.
So I'm
but-
a worm.
So then some people like those other clamps you can screw down, but if they screw down too tight,
Right.
and it depends if you have the fitting, is it plastic or metal? Can you
You
damage
can crush it.
You can. So there's either one, and you're right. If it's a spring one, you're just not using a screwdriver. You got to get the pliers out, and it always slips. The pliers always slip, or they don't open up right, or somebody didn't put it back at the right angle.
Yep. And you can't get to it.
So can you repair a hose in a field?
Yeah. Duct tape.
Duct tape,
Get you
electrical
off the
tape.
trail.
Oh, if you want to go old school, a metal can.
Yeah.
Even
metal
a soda can, cut off the ends, cut it down the middle, wrap it around, make it really tight, and then you tape it up.
Yep, you
know,
can do that.
You can hold pressure. So things to think about. I inspect, so I don't know. When I inspect everything, if I think the hoses need to be replaced, I just replace them.
I just change them every couple of years.
You really?
Yeah, just to be safe because I don't want to
That's
be
good.
out there and
That's good.
And I carry an extra of each if I do go.
I think I have one of each, and that I have a Pelican box in the back with all the tools and all the other.
You got everything. It's MacGyver over here.
I do, because when I go out again. But if I go out in a government class, I got to get them people back, or I got to tow them back. So, and then we teach them stuff and some fun things. So
We're going to call him Bart McGee.
MacGyver.
Is it that time? Oh, wait a minute. Let me double check because I had some leftover notes, as always. We talked about cleaning of that. We talked about broken fins. We talked about the pepper. We talked about the hoses. We've covered it.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the property.
We got to set a time and we can do this. I'm free this weekend.
Oh gosh, I'm not.
Me neither.
We got dog duty. I got to watch
duty.
the dogs. Yeah, Kaylee's going away, so we got to watch and for fireworks. And then people go out there for fireworks. We can set something up on a trail ride one day and go out there.
Yeah, that's
and have
great.
a nice lunch.
Take a few out there.
You can have a nice picnic lunch out there. It's really nice. Yeah,
Who would we invite?
we'll have to see.
Maybe that could be part of our 100th show.
Get Kurt and Shar.
Yeah. Oh, they would love it.
They would
they
enjoy
would.
that big time.
I would never get them out of there.
That's all right.
They're the boss.
They're the boss.
They're the boss.
Are you kidding? That's
They're the
all right.
boss.
They would
They're the-
love that.
It's really.
Hey, and
it's
you know
very
what? You'll
relaxing.
score some points.
True. And if you have Eagle's Nest Outfitter hammocks or those hammocks you can store in your Jeep.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Bring one of those.
trees.
Oh, you score points big time with Charlie and Kurt. Oh yeah, I mean you got it made. This guy, yeah, we're helping you out.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to move you right up the ladder.
Oh, jeez. Let's get to our person of the day.
We don't have time.
All right.
We don't have time today because we really went late with this one.
All right.
We went.
But it
late.
was a good one.
This is awesome.
Thank you,
Very
guys.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess we will do this again next week,
Next week, same time, same station.
and also again YouTube
Yep.
and everything else. So hopefully, if you're watching us on YouTube, there is the audio side,
Yep.
and if you're listening to us, there's the YouTube side. So
Thank you.
All right, guys. Be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
And there you have it. Don't you feel smarter now? We'll drop more knowledge on you soon. Thanks for listening to the Off-Road Toolbox. Powered by Best Price Trailers.